What's the difference between a person who's actually a socialist versus a person who just thinks socialism is the answer or solution to what's going on? Is there a practice for it without the system being in place? Is there a way you can be a socialist while we currently live in a capitalist society?
Only by striving to bring it about. I don't. The short of it is no. I mean, you can't. But in the same way that most of us are not capitalists, even though we exist in a capitalist society, so we feed a capitalist system through our labor, but we're not capitalists. We don't own anything, and we don't benefit from what's created. So if you, so I don't know at this point that there is a difference. Unless you would say I can't technically be a socialist because we're not in a socialist society, and I would just be one who was struggling to bring socialism about. But no, at this point we're all colonized. We're not even. I mean, we're so many levels of we're submerged beneath so many levels of unfreedom that we're not. All we're able to be at this point are variations of colonized beings producing material and immaterial goods for those who rule. That's it. Now, that's just what we are. That's to change that, and we can is just a matter of changing our frame, having a certain level of political education, and then of course organization. With maybe the goal of bringing about a socialist economy and even understanding what that means. And so I don't know if I feel like I've stumbled through that answer, but yeah, I mean yeah,
I get what you're saying. So what's the path towards that? You know, a lot of people, I didn't grow up hearing a lot about socialism or socialism as being the answer to a lot of our problems here. So what's the goal? How do we approach it? When I say approach it, how do we get closer to it?
I mean, if you hear about it, just start reading about it and looking on everything from looking for socialist-based podcasts and YouTube channels to the Party for Socialism and Liberation to other, I'm sure, socialist organizations, the All African People's Revolutionary Party, which I'm in. Believes in the United States of Africa under scientific socialism. You could look into that. There's an endless amount of literature on it, and then from there look to join others who are already doing this work, or starting something small with the group wherever you are. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. And in fact, you know, in this year, you could just start following the Claudia and Karina campaign. They're running for president and vice president on the Party for Socialism and Liberation ticket. And you can learn a lot from them in that organization about what socialism would look like, how it could be brought about, and why it's necessary. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you for that. So what do you think that how do you think socialism helps us in our current case? If we don't get rid of the structure we live in, just completely get rid of it and then start socialism from that new structure. Let's say we have our structure, like you said, somebody's running for office under a socialist platform, but it's still the current structure, right? So how do they properly implement something like that in our current system that we live in?
I mean, look at what I would invite people to look at their platform. I would invite people to read the recently published book, Socialist Reconstruction, from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, where they argue this in greater detail. But the short of it is, we've already created all the wealth that we need in the world. It just needs to be redistributed through public policy. The only reason 1% of the population in the world has 450 trillion of the private wealth we've all created is because the reason 1% has 99% of that wealth is because of public policy and a lack of political will. There are ways to change that political will. It's going to take a lot of struggle and a lot of fight and a lot of risk and a lot of danger and a lot of effort, but it can happen. And the short of it is, what happens if all that wealth that we create is redistributed? So we started, people want to. My work is an argument around this mythological 1 point whatever trillion dollars of black buying power. Why are we having any arguments or discussions of that when in this country alone there's at minimum $150 trillion of private wealth created from our labor?
Mm-hmm.
So a simple socialist starting point would be, well, $150 trillion. I mean, that's the baseline Marxist argument that socialism as a transition shows us that capitalism's contradiction is that we've created all the wealth, we have all the technology, we can produce everything that everybody needs. So now the only question is, through a socialist reorganization, how do you distribute that properly? So you stop exploiting people in the earth so much and give people what they need over here.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's owning Bezos now, I don't know, but Bezos made these hundreds of billions of dollars not because he's some brilliant genius, because he monopolized the market and because we all shop on Amazon. We who shop and the workers who produce all of the boxing and distribution and whatever, the workers and the consumers produce the wealth. Why should all of it go to a Bezos type?
Right.
Just start there. I mean, I use sports all the time. Why are we paying owners and a Roger Goodell type and commissioners tens of millions of dollars? The players and the consumers generate all the wealth. And yet the players and the consumers earn the least.
Right.
Why are my tax dollars paying for M&T Stadium for the Ravens, and then the ownership of the Ravens get to make all the money? If my tax dollars are paying for these stadiums, why then am I not getting free health care or education paid for by all these millions and tens of millions being made by the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
That's what socialism would start to intervene right there, before we even got to anything else. And to me, that makes the most sense. This is the current arrangement is absurd. And this idea that owners and the elite have done something and are doing something that is deserving of all this accumulation of all the wealth that we are creating, that's ridiculous.